Keeping the tone going with Donald Trump and politics and business. Other businesses that are not social media platforms also decided that they want to also do something about this whole situation. And they realized that they do have a lot of power, and they decided to use the one thing that they can always hold against politicians: money. A lot of businesses either pulled their funding of campaigns or are reviewing their donations. So here's a list of all the businesses that have announced that they're either pulling their funding or announced that they're reviewing their funding, or straight up just said, for those people who voted against certifying the election, we're not giving you any money. Here's a list of companies: JP Morgan Chase, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Citi, Marriott, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Boston Scientific, Goldman Sachs, Dow, BlackRock, AT&T, American Express, Airbnb, CVS, ExxonMobil, FedEx, Target, Deloitte, T-Mobile, Walmart, Bank of America are all either announced that they are canceling funding for elections or they're reviewing their policy of their donations. PGA also terminated its agreement to play the 2022 PGA Championship at Trump's golf course. And basically, as the week was going on, more and more businesses felt emboldened to take a stance against what happened on Capitol Hill. However, all of this announcement, it sounds cool. It's very cool that they're all hyped up right now and they're all talking about, oh yeah, we're not doing this anymore. We're not giving you no money to campaign and all this stuff. But here's the thing, the elections just happened. So not a lot of people asking for money right now. Not a whole lot can be put to test on them saying that they're not gonna donate. Now the main thing is going to be seen is, are they gonna donate in 2 years when it's time for them to do another elections for the Senate and the House? Are they gonna donate during that time, or how is this gonna play out? How long are they not gonna be donating the PACs? Like how long? How long is that gonna play out? Or are they gonna do some under the table donations? I mean, not to say like the stuff that the businesses are doing, it's all cool. It's really cool. But at the same time, let's just put a film of reality back in it that we just ended an election. And in the next 3 months, it doesn't really hamper businesses to not donate to politicians. So that's just my whole thing. But I do want to use this as an opportunity to talk about why corporations, I believe, have just become the fourth arm of government. Like, corporations have become a fourth arm of government. They have began to take more and more stances in the political realm. For years, corporations have been advised to stay away from saying anything about the society, say anything about politics, and just basically be about their money. That basically is what it has been. But at this point in time, they can't do that anymore. Now they have to take more of a stance on different issues. And the main reason that I believe that they're having to take this stance, and I believe that they're becoming the fourth arm of government, is because one of the key aspects that for a business to be able to work properly, for a business to be able to flow fluidly, it needs a few things. First, it needs proper infrastructure, like, roads, water, food, like all of these things. It needs those infrastructure things that would actually enable it to be a profitable business wherever it is, which is why businesses don't go to countries that are war-torn unless they're trying to mine for something there. Apart from that, they usually don't do businesses like that. You don't see commerce stores, you don't see Amazon, you don't see Walmart going into countries that don't have things like good roads, don't have things like water flowing freely, don't have things like food, just, the normal infrastructure stuff that we in the United States take for granted. This is a key reason we pay taxes. It's for the infrastructure. This is why businesses should pay a lot more taxes, because they use the infrastructure. That's why they're able to profit so much, which is why I also fight people whenever they say like big business solves everything. It doesn't usually solve everything, because if a lot of infrastructure stuff is not already there, a business is not going to go there just for it to lose money as it's building out its infrastructure. They're not going to do that unless they have some ulterior motive for doing it. So the fact is, businesses need infrastructure. But even more so, it needs the rule of law to be enforceable. It needs the rule of law to be very enforceable. Because most agreements that businesses make are contract-based. Your employment agreement, that's a contract between you and your employer, that every 2 weeks as I work for you, you're gonna pay me this sum of money and you will do this amount of work. right? It's a contract. The terms of service that every one of us just clicks through whenever we're signing up for a new platform that we want to join, that none of us ever read, that's a contract that says, just like Donald Trump found out, if you go this far, we're gonna boot you off of our platform. That's a contract between you and the platform. Everything is based in some way, shape, or form on some kind of contract. But in order for the contract to be binding, there has to be a rule of law. There has to be an understanding that if we have to, if there's a situation, if there's a problem, and we needed this situation to be resolved, we can go before a judge, and a judge can rule unbiasedly, most of the time, unbiasedly for either party, because we have a contract, and by the contract, these were the details. And so we get the rule of law to work together. And so businesses cannot sit down or sit by whenever the rule of law starts to be attacked. They can't sit by whenever the rule of law, which in the United States, the rule of law would be our Constitution, is being attacked. When the signs of our democracy is being attacked, which is why we have seen in the last 3 years or so, we've seen businesses start taking active stances in the community. We've seen them take stances on things that they've never taken stances on before, like immigration, like LGBTQ, like race, all these things that in the past they have just kind of been like, we don't want to alienate anybody, but now they no longer have the opportunity to do that. Plus, there's the whole talent discussion as well. If you want the best people, you better be very for the things that those people want as well. If you want the best talent, for the longest time, we've been in a bull market and an employee market, which means that employees determine, we always had a job that we could hop to. There was a lot of vacancies and we could always hop to a new job. And so to be able to do that, you had to make your company stand out in more than one way. And one of the ways that they started doing that was literally by taking stances. I remember actually the first podcast that I ever did, go check that out. It's literally episode 1, was on CEOs signing a declaration for change, where they weren't just gonna focus on their shareholders and their money, but also on their employees and also on the communities where they serve. So it's coming full circle. It's crazy. That literally was the first podcast episode that I ever did on here. That was literally episode number 1. So go check that episode out to understand some of the ways and some of the reasons why I'm thinking the way that I'm thinking about the way CEOs and the way businesses are now operating. And in all honesty, we trust CEOs to do the right thing more than we trust the leadership of our countries. In other words, our senators, our House representatives, our governors, our local governments, all this stuff. We trust CEOs to do the right things way more than we trust government officials to do the right thing. I mean, it's just, I trust my CEO of my company. I trust Tim Cook. I trust, I always say his name wrong, the CEO of Microsoft. I trust those guys to actually make the right decisions more than I've trusted the government to make the right decision in the last few years. I mean, even when you look at the pandemic, and the ones who actually answered the call the right way and the fastest way, it wasn't the government, it was CEOs who said, hey, for our employees, we're gonna give you guys this, we're gonna provide all of these different things for y'all to make sure that you guys are safe. It wasn't the government, it was CEOs. The problem with that is CEOs are for their bottom line at the end of the day. Government have to look ahead past the bottom line. Government looks about the community, looks out for the community. But CEOs are about the bottom line. So when we start trusting CEOs to do the right things on our behalf, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. CEOs care about money more than anything else. Yes, they may care about some things here and there, but at the end of the day, their fealty is to their company and the fealty is to the bottom line of the shareholders. So we've reached a point in our society that we should not reach. We should not be trusting the CEO of Apple who wants to sell you more products, the CEO of Microsoft who wants to sell you more products, the CEO of Google who wants to collect more of your data, the CEO of Facebook who wants more of your data, more than we trust the government who is supposed to actually be thinking 20, 30 years down the line about the future of the future generations to come. It seems like the government are a lot more short-sighted than CEO of companies now. And CEOs of companies are short-sighted because they're driven by quarterly analysts. They're driven by quarterly mandates. So I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to just go on that soapbox for a little bit and talk about how businesses have now become the fourth arm of our government. You may not agree with me, but if you really look at it, you will realize like that has become the case, at least in the United States. I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the Rambling Mind podcast. If you want more of the Rambling Mind podcast, or if you want to listen to the whole episode that you just heard, go check it out on any podcast listening platform, whether that be Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Breaker, Stitcher. I could go on, but you guys already know which podcast you love to use to listen to. So go check it out. Link down in the description as well. I'm going to catch y'all later. Peace.